Well, good morning. Today marks the one-year anniversary since BC teachers started negotiations on the latest round of bargaining. The first session was February 4th, 2013. And today we learned that Premier Clark and Education Minister Peter Fassbender are not serious about stability in BC's education system. By announcing their intent to appeal BC teachers' important and historic court victory, Christy Clark's government has shown that they think they are above the law. The government has broken the law, the Constitution, twice. But they continue to put their own political agenda before students. The government has been told 5 times that they were wrong. First, by teachers in 2002 when Bill 28 came in. We knew the damage it would do, but government ignored our concerns, and an entire generation of students has been shortchanged as a result, and that is shameful. In 2004, the International Labour Organization of the United Nations told the BC Liberal government that they were breaking international law. In 2007, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled this government had acted unconstitutionally in health services. In 2011, the BC Supreme Court ruled that Bill 28 was unconstitutional. And now, in 2014, the same court has said that they've violated our charter rights twice. Christy Clark has been told time and time again that they cannot trample people's rights, that they must respect the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. In the last round, Justice Griffin said Christy Clark's government negotiated in bad faith. Given their bad faith approach and the last 12 years of cuts, how can teachers trust this government? Today with this appeal, Premier Clark and Minister Fassbender have shown that we cannot trust them, as much as I want to be able to trust them. By trying to hold on to Bill 28, which illegally stripped teachers' working conditions, Christy Clark is saying no to smaller classes, no to increased support for students with special needs, and no to extra help for all of our kids in our classrooms, in our schools. It's sad, disappointing, but entirely predictable from a government that cannot be trusted to put education before politics. This is the same government that deliberately tried to shut down BC schools with a strike. They didn't want stability in 2012. They wanted to provoke a strike. And today, we hear Minister Fassbender accusing Justice Griffin of putting union interests ahead of students. To that I say, look at the evidence, Minister. It speaks for itself. Your government conspired to shut BC schools down. It was outrageous, cynical, and British Columbians should be angry. Christy Clark owes all of us, teachers, students, and parents, an apology. And by appealing Justice Griffin's ruling, it's clear that they haven't changed. Clark's government doesn't want stability. I can tell you, teachers want stability. We want to teach in workable classrooms. We want extra help from specialists to ensure that all kids get the support that they need. We want our students to get more one-on-one time with us. We want teacher librarians actually in libraries helping students. We want learning resource teachers who can spend that extra time with students, either in the classroom or outside the classrooms, working on specific learning challenges. We want special education teachers helping the growing number of children with special needs so all kids get that support they need. We want a fair deal, negotiated at the bargaining table, that respects teachers and provides better support for our students. That's stability. That's how BC's education system can move on from this government mismanagement. Teachers have won our right to negotiate our working conditions twice now. We will assert our rights the rights of all Canadians. Bill 28 was ruled unconstitutional in 2011. The government did not appeal that decision. Therefore, teachers have and will continue to negotiate class size, class composition, and ratios for specialist teachers, like teacher librarians, special education teachers, teacher counselors, English language teachers, and resource and learning assistance teachers. The best way for government to move forward now is to negotiate in good faith and bring the necessary funding to the bargaining table. If government can do that, BC students will be the biggest beneficiaries. Let's look at specialist teachers to show how students will benefit. Since 2002, when Bill 28 came in, we've lost close to 1,400 specialist positions. Those English language teachers, teacher librarians, special education teachers, learning resource teachers, and teacher counselors are all people who could be helping our students. And that's so important. Instead, the ratios that were used to guarantee just minimum service levels for our kids were illegally stripped. With this court win, and as soon as government acts to implement it, kids will see an immediate difference. And that's what this is about. I'll give you just one example. In Surrey, a district that has increased enrollment over the years, our early estimates suggest Surrey students should get access to 18 more teacher librarians, 19 more teacher counselors, 51 more special education teachers, and 80 English language learner teachers. Those extra specialist teachers would make a real difference in Surrey. Just imagine that. Who would benefit? It's our students. That's the stability we want. More children with special needs will get the support. More children learning English will get that extra help. And all students will get more one-on-one time in the classroom and one-on-one time with specialist teachers. When you look at these numbers, you realize just how much has been taken away from our students over the last 12 years. It's time to end the cuts and give back. The provisions are restored as of January 27th. Thank you. Questions?
Jim, how is this appeal going to affect the bargaining process starting next week?
Well, you know, we're at the bargaining table. We've been at the bargaining table for a year now, and we want to negotiate a deal at the bargaining table. We'll be there ready, hoping that government comes and bargains with us in good faith. That's so important. But we all know that to achieve an agreement, government has to bring the necessary funding to make that deal happen. A fair deal for our teachers and better supports for our kids.
Do you have an estimate for how much they're saying it could cost $1 billion or more? Or what is your estimate?
Well, you know, we don't have an estimate right now. We know that through court documents back in 2002, when they stripped our provisions out of our classrooms, they did that to save approximately $275 million, which is today in dollars is probably around $330 million. So we know they did that in 2002, and you know, just think if they hadn't done that, that money would be in our system now, and we probably wouldn't be $1,000 less per student in funding than the Canadian average. We are the second worst province across Canada, next to Prince Edward Island, in funding, and that's shameful. British Columbians expect more. They expect that our children should not be shortchanged compared to the children across Canada. And you know, every government, during the good economic times, during not so good economic times, actually found the money to put into public schools, because public education is one of our cornerstones of democracy. And every other government seems to realize that, except this government.
What's your response to Peter Fassbender's comments the judgment is unaffordable for taxpayers?
Well, again, it's priorities. And, we've been at court now for a number of years. And, the decision could have gone either way. And this government should have been putting money away for this judgment. But we know that, and you look around out there, and I can name a few examples which I've named before. BC Place roof, great roof, beautiful for British Columbia. $700 million at a time when this government said they had no money. But they found the money. So I think it's about priorities. It's about determining what's important. Our students are important, and they say that too. So if they really believe it, then put the money. Bring us up to at least the Canadian average or better. Our children deserve better. So do British Columbians.
Said something about, you mentioned class sizes. What are they currently at? He says they're way down compared to what they used to be. He gave numbers of 19.3 students, kindergarten to grade 12, 20.
Well, we know that according to Stats Canada, says that we have the worst class size averages in Canada. We have the least amount of teachers working with our students. And when we look at those figures, and this number actually would take approximately 6,600 teachers just to get to the average, according to the Stats Canada figures. I mean, that's just a huge number. But can you imagine that?
Could you explain,
would
Mr.
the
Fassbender,
result of the
said-
appeal actually affect the negotiation in limbo?
Sorry.
Would the result of the appeal in future that will affect the negotiations and put the process in limbo?
We're at the bargaining table. We will be at the bargaining table. It's important for us to negotiate, get a deal at that bargaining table, and we're encouraging government to continue come to the table, bargain in good faith, bring the necessary funding to get that deal. Our provisions are restored. That's what we're moving forward. It has set a baseline for us in our collective agreements, and we'll look at how we can improve those conditions for our students.
Okay, Mr. Fassbender this morning denied that there's any kind of war between the union and the government. Do you believe him when he says he wants to bargain in good faith?
Well, we've met with Minister Fassbender a number of times, and I'm a very positive, optimistic person, and I bring that in my role as president. And I want to believe that. I want to believe that he wants to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. But he's also part of a government that has broken the law twice now. Twice. British Columbians expect governments to uphold the Constitution, not break the law. And now they say they want to appeal it. What does that say?
So the 10-year deal was brought up again in today's comments by Mr. Fassbender. What's your response to that?
Well, look at what's happened in the last 12 years. The 10-year deal is not on. Term is at the bargaining table, and we'll deal with term. But what's important here is a decision that says our provisions are restored. This government broke the law twice. They seem to want to act again that they're above the law. It's time to move forward. It's time to end whatever strife there is. I don't want that. Our teachers of BC do not want that. We want a negotiated deal at the table, and we ask government, let's make that happen.
Considering the outcome of the last provincial election, do you think you have the support of parents? Because obviously they re-elected this government.
We know that this government is in power, and we want to work with this government. We would love to meet with the Premier of this province, who's never met with the BCTF, not even once, not even as Education Minister and not as Premier. And she's been Premier now for the last 2+ years. Parents support us. Parents want more funding put into schools. Parents they want to know that when their students need that extra help, that extra individual attention, that they're going to get it. Parents want smaller class sizes. They want their students to have more, their kids to have more access. I tell you, in a smaller class, you can just spend that little bit of extra time with every student, and that's huge. That's so huge for the student when they can have time with their teacher, whether it's helping with a problem or whether it's just talking about something that they've experienced. And you can do that much better in a smaller class size. That's another important part that sometimes gets lost in this whole thing.
Jim, how much has this process cost the BCTF? I guess about 12 years of negotiations before time?
This government has cost us a lot of money in litigation. It's unfortunate that we've had to go back to court. We knew in our heart that what they did was just not right, but I don't have the exact dollar amount at this time.
Just, how did you feel this morning when you heard that they were going to appeal? Was it a surprise to you?
I was very disappointed. It wasn't a surprise knowing what this government did twice now, breaking the law. I was hopeful that they wouldn't appeal. There's been a lot of people out there in the public, in the media, people that actually the government probably consults with, who actually advise them not to appeal, but to sit down with us and negotiate. Okay, thank you.